What's good, everybody, man? Shout out to all you guys out there, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is I really want to know podcast, man. We're just doing our daily war updates. It's day 7, guys. Day 7 of Trump's war. It's no other. I mean, that's where we at now. Like I wanted to give us some time to see if they actually did have a reason or some sort of plan or something. They don't, man. It's just Trump's war, man. Day 7. So as you know, we're gonna talk about this, man. No sound effects, no intro, no outro, none of that. We're just gonna kind of go over it. Um, yeah, man. Just gonna kind of go over it. So let's get into that right now, right? So day 7, man. This is there's so much going on today with this. Right? So much going on with this. Shout out to YouTube guys. Appreciate y'all coming through, supporting. Shout out to Facebook. You know, man, I've recently begun broadcasting over to Facebook. I'm gonna incorporate X here at some point. Man, X is crazy over there, man. You want to talk about just Wild West craziness over there, but eventually I'm gonna go over there too, and then we'll get into Instagram. Matter of fact, I'll probably do Instagram and first, and then go over to X. So eventually we'll get there. But shout out to all y'all, man. Happy Friday. Hope everything is going well. Most of you guys are at work. You know, I'm retired. I'm just waiting for my daughter to get out of school. She has some sort of band thing today, so she won't be out for a couple more hours yet. Um, you know, she's in a band, and every year they do this thing. They have this big thing they do when they compete with all other schools in the area. So she's doing that. So, man, let's get into this, man. Iran war, day 7 update. The cost of war versus helping America's plus the jobs report impact. We're gonna be going over all that, guys. Um, you know, this, day 7, man, like the war seems to be entering, a new and potentially more dangerous phase because now we see what's going on. Right now, they're saying it's not going to be a conventional war in the sense that we're going to have boots on the ground right now. That's what it looks like. But anyone who knows anything about modern warfare, you know that it's inevitable. At some point, there will be boots on the ground. We just don't know what that looks like. We don't know if it's going to be Kurdish boots on the ground, it's going to be American boots on the ground, it's going to be Israeli boots on the ground. We don't know. Some other faction out there. NATO's out of the question. I don't think we're going to see that because they're peacekeepers. They're not going to show up and get involved in this. So now it's just gonna be kind of like this peekaboo, whack-a-mole, throwing munitions back and forth kind of thing, which gets expensive. I mean, it's lethal, it's dangerous. It's gonna hurt a bunch of civilians, hurt some military people. So yeah, it's just that's where we are right now. That's where we are, this new phase. So airstrikes continue across Iran and Lebanon. Um, Iran has launched new missile barrages, and global leaders are warning the conflict could spiral further. Right, that's pretty much every day. That's what we're seeing. That's what everyone's saying. But today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough: the cost of this war. And we got to talk about the numbers and what that money could be doing inside the United States instead of using it to fight this regime change war, whatever it is we're trying to do over here. Right? No one's really talking about that. They should be, and people are going to start talking about it. We'll also break down the jobs report released today. You know, we'll have a look at that so you guys can see what's going on. That's like major news. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it. So 7 days into the war, fighting continues across multiple fronts. Israel and the United States have launched a new phase of airstrikes targeting Tehran and Hezbollah positions in Lebanon, while Iran continues retaliatory missile attacks across the region. That's from CBS News. So we're pretty much just kind of into, like, if anybody's ever studied or watched any movie on World War One, you had to fight initially, and then the trenches came into place, and then everything just became static. That's pretty much, I think, where we are with this. It is what it is. We're not, the Trump administration knows that Americans are not behind this, and they definitely don't want American boots on the ground. So you can only do so much with air superiority or just bombing. Talk to anyone who studies this thing. You can bomb as much as you want. In order to secure territory, you have to use soldiers. Someone has to go and occupy that territory and hold it. So until we do that, it's just going to be this every day, just bombing and missiles and then more bombing and missiles and drones, and that's what we're going to keep seeing. That's where we are right now. Iranian missiles have struck or targeted multiple countries in the Gulf, including Bahrain, Qatar, and U.S. bases, where U.S. bases are located. That's according to Wikipedia, that's out there. Um, the war began when U.S. Israeli strikes targeted leadership and military sites inside Iran as part of Operation Lion's Roar, which included the killing of Iran's supreme leader. So, hmm, hmm, that part right there. And you guys know I use I use to get this roundup, to get this information, I'll use Chat GPT. And that's the first time I'm hearing this thing about Operations Lion's Roar. Right. I'm pretty sure it might be the first time y'all have heard of it too. Definitely gonna look into that more if this is Chat GPT falling asleep or whatever they call it, or daydreaming, we'll correct that tomorrow. Since then, the conflict has expanded across Iran, Israel, Lebanon, Gulf states, and the Persian Gulf region. The UN is warning that the conflict could spiral beyond anyone's control. So that's what wars do. You just never know. And Iran is just trying to get anybody and everybody involved in this thing. If they could drag more people into this thing, that's going to help them. So, and if they could have managed to get Turkey to kind of get in, or state that they're on, Iran's side, man, that would be that would be terrible. That would be terrible. That would be a big, big problem. First of all, Turkey's part of NATO. How would that play out? Like, what America did is illegal in the eyes of, international law. So, man, I hope that doesn't happen. So let's get into the daily cost of this thing, man. So, modern wars are extremely expensive, especially the type of weapon we use. And it's really expensive, man. So, here's some examples. A Tomahawk cruise missile, $2 million each. For like one cruise missile, $2 million. Wow. Fighter jets per hour, operating costs per hour for fighter jets between $30,000 and $80,000 per hour, just to get airborne, right? That includes the pilot with the cruise training and all that, getting all the munitions on the plane, getting airborne per hour. And they're probably putting maintenance in there too. Carrier strike group, just to have the carrier strike group out there, $6.5 million per day to operate. It's big money, guys. $2 million for a cruise missile. Wow. Cruise missile. And that tech's been around since Desert Storm, like the war I fought in. It's a lot of money, $30,000 to $80,000 per hour to operate the fighter jets. Man. And $6.5 million a day just to operate the carrier strike group. That is a lot of money. If this war is costing $700 million per day, that means 1 week of war equals roughly $5 billion, man. So if we're spending around $700 million a day, roughly, these are estimates, however much we're spending, 1 week of this war is going to cost $5 billion. $5 billion. Again, these are just estimates, guys, but it's ballpark. I'm pretty sure it's ballpark. If the war were to last 1 month, it could exceed $20 billion. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I mean, what could we do with that money here in the U.S.? What could we be doing with that money? $20 billion a month. And right now, the latest estimate coming from the White House, coming from Trump, is this thing is going to go on until September. Right. And, I'm here to tell you guys, it's going to be a minimum. Like, no, it's going to be, definitely. We're going to hit September. They said this thing is going to September, but they didn't say what year. That's what I'm thinking. Like, which September? September of what year? 27, 28, 29? Like, what year are we talking about? So, but that's what they're saying right now. That's what they're saying right now, man. So, let's put it in perspective. If $700 million per day were spent here in the U.S., it could fund programs like housing. $700 million could build roughly between 5,000 and 7,000 affordable homes. Wow. $7 million could build between 5,000 and 7,000 affordable homes, not the McMansions that are being built and all these expensive homes that are being built. And these, what are they building now? Like tons and tons of apartments. We could build between 5 and 7,000 affordable homes. Wow. That's enough to house thousands of American families. And that's true. Healthcare, $700 million could fund healthcare coverage for hundreds of thousands of Americans, or build multiple regional hospitals, which America desperately needs. Both. We need both. I mean, just the healthcare part, just imagine there's so many Americans out here who are going broke because of healthcare and healthcare needs or healthcare related costs. Most Americans don't have healthcare. When they get hurt, what do? They go to the emergency room. They go somewhere, they get treatment, they get stabilized, and they come back home. They can't pay the bill. And those bills don't go away. So when most people wind up going through bankruptcy, it's probably because something happened, got into a car accident, or somebody got hurt. You broke something, an arm, a leg, or something like that. You had to go get some health care. You had no coverage, and you're paying out of pocket. You're paying all this money, and you can't pay it back. So $700 million could help change that, could make someone's life completely different. But we're spending it on the war. Education, $700 million could pay salaries for 10,000 plus teachers for several years. Think about that. $700 million to pay the teachers' salaries, 10,000 or more teachers' salaries for 7 years. Wow. And I believe the teachers should get raises. If we're not going to give them a raise, they should be paid for the entire year. Y'all realize that most teachers don't get paid when school's out. They got to go find another job or something like that. Sad. So sad. Or that money, $700 million, could eliminate student loan debt for thousands of borrowers. I don't agree with that. But that's what that money could do. There's a lot of people out there who have a whole bunch of student loan debt, and they're like, yeah, we want that student loan forgiveness. And I don't know, man. I had to pay my student loans. It was hard. I didn't have the money at first. I had to, deal with not getting tax refunds. Like money was going to pay my loans. That, it was hard. But if I was eventually, I managed to get into a good career and I paid it all off. So I ain't gonna lie to you. If I sit back and I watch Americans get their student loans wiped, I sit here, I'm a little mad, I'm a little salty. Like, hey, can somebody send me back the money that I spent on college? I didn't even finish college. I ain't finished. I got hired by the FAA. I didn't need to. So $700 million, what could that do for infrastructure? It could repair hundreds of bridges, upgrade rail systems, modernize aging water systems. This is severely needed in America. We know we got problems with our infrastructure, and we just keep ignoring it. That the money is being spent right now. We could be doing that to fix the potholes in our federal roads, to fix the bridges, upgrade our railroad system. The water thing, there are cities like in Mississippi, like in Michigan, they have serious water problems, bro. You got American cities that don't have access to clean water. And yeah, we're talking about the poor areas of these cities. I think Jackson, Mississippi is one. I mean, you turn on the faucets in Jackson, Mississippi, and some of these neighborhoods, man, and black sludge comes out. Then we had that, what was like, was it West Virginia or someplace where the people would turn on the water and it was like gas was in the water? Like you could actually light the water on fire. Right. So I don't know if they ever fixed that in Michigan. We all know, like in Detroit, they're having trouble with water. Like, people, we were sending, bottled water there because the water was unsafe to drink. That made the news for a while. Then it went away. I just assumed they fixed it. Right? Nah, they didn't fix it. People in Michigan will still tell you, like, don't drink the water. That used to be the thing when you go to Mexico, go to Tijuana, don't drink the water. Get Montezuma's revenge or whatever. Now, you're going to get that 8 Mile revenge. But we're spending the money over in this war. $700 million could fix the water issue. Right? Could fix the water issue. And again, this is how much money we're spending per day on this war. $700 million per day on this war. 700 million. All right. Have you guys been tracking the debt clock? Before the war started, the debt clock was what? Right around 38 trillion. It's got to be over 40 trillion by now. I have to look that up. $700 million a day for job programs that could create large scale public jobs programs. We need that now. We need job programs now. We need jobs, clean energy, employment and initiatives, manufacturing investments. America doesn't make anything anymore. We import everything. And now we're going to shut the oil off, so it's going to cost way more to import stuff. There are talks that oil might get up as high as $140 a barrel. It could get that high. But yeah, with $700 million a day, we could put Americans back to work. We get people retrained. We can invest in America. We can build up some factories and stuff like that, man. Make some money. Right? In other words, a single week of war spending equals massive domestic investment potential. We could help Americans. We could help Americans. That's what we could be doing. Man, Drill's in the building. What's good, fam? That's a lot of money. $700 million a day. That's what we're spending right now. $700 million a day. And it might go up. That's a lot of money. So let's talk about the jobs report today. You guys, I don't know if you heard about it because you were at work or whatever, but you're going to hear about it. That we had there's some very bad news for the labor market today with the jobs report to come out. It was released today. The February 2026 U.S. jobs report showed an unexpected slowdown in the labor market. The U.S. economy lost about 92,000 jobs, while the unemployment rate rose to 4.4%. That's according to Reuters. Right? Everyone's talking about it. Every news outlet out there is talking about this. This is the number one story, right up there with the war. 92,000 jobs were lost in February. No one expected that. And they say the unemployment rate is up to 4.4%. Remember, we were talking about how we measure the unemployment rate. If the unemployment rate was measured the way it was measured back in the 1980s, this 4.4% would be over 10% unemployment. Think about that. We changed the way that we count unemployed people. So this 4.4% is really over 10%. And remember, at its height of the Great Depression, America's unemployment rate was 25%. So this number, the loss of these jobs, big thing, guys. Big thing. Jay Swan's in the building, man. Yeah, definitely check out the link he has in there. Looks like one of our pilots got shot down or crashed in Iraq. I have to look. I can't click on that here. But if you guys are watching it, man, click on it and see what that's about, man. It's crazy. And if we talked about this yesterday. If a pilot goes down in Iranian airspace, we got to go get him. But it looks like the headline said that this was in Iraq's Basra. So I don't know. And it's a lot of AI created news stuff out there. So be careful when you see a story out there, see if you can't find that story on a couple other platforms, try to cross-reference and all that. Because the Chinese, the Russians, the North Koreans, they're going to want to put out a whole bunch of information out there. A lot of misinformation and stuff is floating around. So it is what it is. But it's just a matter of time before some of our aviators go down in the Badlands, and we're going to have to go get them out. So the economy lost 92,000 jobs in February. The unemployment rate is up to 4.4%. This surprised economists who had expected job growth, because remember, the January numbers were up. The January numbers got revised down, but still it didn't get revised down that bad. I thought they would be revised down to a negative number. It wasn't. So you got that number. And then February came in, they were expecting jobs to be up. I don't know why, but they were. You look at Doge, you look at what's going on with AI and people losing their jobs. I don't know why they thought that America was going to have more jobs. So, these job numbers going the wrong way. Surprised a lot of people. Major sectors losing jobs included healthcare, manufacturing, construction, hospitality, federal government employment. Right? That's according to Associated Press. We knew all that. We knew all that. The report showed about 7.6 million Americans are unemployed. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's a lot of people losing their jobs. A lot more people are going to be losing work. A lot more people. Corporations, like we're in a war that no one knows how long we're going to be bogged down in. No one knows how bad this thing is going to be. Like you look at what's going on with the stock market. Stock market's down big, real big. It's going to continue to trend down. You look at what's going on with these job numbers. People are going to continue to get laid off. And then the way we count unemployment, you get laid off from working your job. You're making $125,000, $150,000 a year. You lose that job, but you immediately start hustling because you need money right now. So you start doing DoorDash or get you a little part-time job somewhere or doing whatever. They don't count you as unemployed. You're employed. You're working. You turned on your Uber app. You are working. And then they're going to count you as being employed. But you're not making anywhere near that $125,000, $150,000 that you've been making. And then how are you going to pay for your house? How are you going to pay for your car? How are you going to pay your credit card debt? Those are the three big things. Those are the three big things. The answer is you're not going to be able to pay them all. Like you went from making $150,000 a year to maybe making $30,000, $40,000 at the most. And you're thinking like, well, I'll just get another job with another corporation. No, you're not, because all the corporations are firing people with your skill set. That's where we are right now. Right? How the war could impact the economy. Wars can and often do have a major economic effect, right? They always do. The Iran conflict is already influencing oil prices. Right? We all know that region, the Persian Gulf region, when it comes to oil, it moves about 20% of the global oil supply. 20%. 20%. Everybody gets their oil from out of there, and them boats ain't moving. The port is shut down. I mean, the straits are kind of shut down right now. Any disruption could push energy prices higher. We already talked about that. There are estimates out there that a barrel of oil could be as high as $140 a barrel, $140 a barrel. Higher oil prices mean higher gas prices, higher transportation costs, higher inflation. That's what's going on right now. Couple that with the unexpected job loss. You see how it starts to, oh my goodness, like it's all stacking up. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? This is why, and look, we already had this spike in this rise in foreclosures. We have this spike, this rise in people being evicted from their apartments. You look at people not able to pay their credit card debt. We have the highest level of credit card debt the America has ever known. All that. That was people barely making it, trying to do what they can to make it to another week, another day. That was before the war. Now the war hits. Could you imagine you lost your big job and then you've been just barely making it, using credit card debt, floating your credit card balances between these other cards or whatever, just trying to stay ahead of the game, trying to stay afloat. You line up another position, they tell you like, you got this position. We're going to get you going here pretty soon. And then bam, the war starts. And they're like, no, we can't hire anybody. Sorry. We can't hire you. So you don't have that position. And what does that do for your mental health, bro? So the struggle is here. The struggle is here. This is going to be tough. If you guys have been watching me for any amount of time, I've always been talking about growing up in the 80s and remembering how the grown-ups were really worried and struggling. Like, because back then gas was under $1 a gallon. I remember when gas went over $1. I mean, it went from 99 cents to like 101 a gallon. America lost their mind. I remember the grown-ups talking about that. That's when Reaganomics hit too. So I remember the grown-ups losing the factory jobs and stuff like that. I've seen this before. I know what this is. A lot of people don't know what this is. Right. And what do you do when this happens? You gotta just keep keeping on. Like, you gotta figure it out and figure it out fast. Otherwise, you're just gonna fall off. This is, look at California. You have so many people, like in families, living in vehicles. They're not even trying to get into housing. They're like, man, we just keep this vehicle. Trying to find work, trying to do whatever, man, it's crazy. That's where we are right now. And this is just the beginning. We have no idea how long this war is gonna last. I mean, bro, what you really need, you need Donald Trump to just declare victory and pull out. Declare victory, pull out of the region. And even if they did that today, we still got to figure out how to pay for all this. It's crazy. Still got to figure out how to pay for it. Appreciate your Facebook folks popping in. I really appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? And everyone's welcome. Please feel free to make comments. If your comment gets deleted, that's not me. That's YouTube. Just want y'all to know. Like, that's YouTube, not me. Business uncertainty. When wars start, companies often slow hiring because they don't know what will happen next. That's what we're dealing with right now. That's one reason economists say the jobs report could signal a cooling labor market. 100%. That's just normal when you go into war, but then you add to that AI. Companies don't necessarily need to have as many humans anymore because the computers can do the work. So I mean, it's kind of like a superstorm, right? The computers can do the work. So we're definitely going to continue to see this cooling market. Federal budget pressure. War spending also increases federal deficits. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the debt clock is already stupid. Like I said, that money ain't never getting paid back, man. $38 trillion, $40 trillion, $50 trillion, matter. None of that's getting paid back. The U.S. already spends over $800 billion annually on defense. And the prolonged conflict could push that even higher. I think we're at $1 trillion, right? I think the official budget for the Department of Defense was $1 trillion. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. And we pay just to service the debt, right? Just to service the interest. We pay what, $1 trillion in interest every year just on our debt. $1 trillion just in interest alone. It's crazy. So the big question is, 7 days into the war, how long will this conflict last? Donald Trump and the administration is saying, it's going to go in at least until September. That's what we're hearing. If it lasts weeks, global markets will feel it. If it lasts months, the economic consequences could be enormous. It's definitely going to last months, guys. This ain't going to be over. This ain't going to be over next week. And if it spreads further in the Middle East, it could reshape global politics for years. It's definitely going to do that. This is such a crazy thing, man. Such a crazy thing. Right? And for all you guys who voted for Trump, I mean, it is what it is. This is what you voted for. You know, I know a lot of people who were pro MAGA and, bandwagon MAGA. They're all upset right now. We talk to them, they get mad. And like, yeah, you were right. I really thought this guy was going to do what he said and blah, blah, blah. You hearing that. You see how fractured MAGA is right now. Like the only people left really in MAGA are the hardcore, like SS types. They're there. They're never going to go anywhere. But the rest of the people are just disenfranchised. They don't like what's going on. This is bad news for the Republicans going into this, midterm. Most Republicans aren't going to come vote. They're too disenfranchised. And the ones who do come out and vote, they're going to be voting for Democrats because they know this is the only way they can fight back. So yeah, if we have an election in November, it's going to be a bloodbath for the Republicans. The Democrats, it's going to be this super pendulum, super tsunami coming in. So 7 days into this war, it's already changing the geopolitical landscape around the world, man. The entire world has a stake in this. Everyone needs the oil, right? China needs the oil. Vietnam needs the oil. Taiwan needs the oil. Japan, Korea, even the U.S. Even though we're not as dependent, the U.S. still needs oil over there. I think Trump was talking to the leader of India saying, hey, go ahead and buy some oil from Russia. just for now, just until we figure this out, after spending months and months trying to convince India not to buy oil from Russia. And Russia sent back, Putin sent back like, great. He needs some money because he's got this war he's fighting in Ukraine. He's like, man, I can show you some of that money right now. So, yeah, most of Europe is going to have to, they're going to have to buy their oil from Putin and their natural gas. But it also raises deeper questions, guys. How should a country balance military spending abroad with investment at home? What do y'all think, man? Like, should we be spending all that money on this war, or should we be spending money and investing in America and helping out Americans? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Obviously, you guys could tell where I sit in all this. This war was unnecessary. So, I want to pull up something real quick. Hopefully, it won't be too glitchy. This is Breaking Points. You guys know I'm a big fan of Breaking Points. They have Wakana on today, and he was talking a little bit about this, man. I want you guys to hear what he had to say. This one quick segment here. Let's check it out.
Congressman, finally, I did want to get your reaction to the jobs report that we just got out this morning. Griffin, I don't know if you have those numbers to pull, but according to the official government numbers, we lost 92,000 jobs last month. That huge miss from what had been expected. Unemployment rate also ticked up. The previous have also been revised downward. So there was very little job creation overall in the entire year of 2025. And I believe it was in the month of December, there was actually a net loss here. So here you can see the numbers, 92,000 jobs lost, below expectations of a 58,000 job gain. Unemployment rate is 4.4%, above expectations of 4.3%. And this is just the second monthly job loss we have seen since the 2020 pandemic. What is your reaction to these numbers and your sense of where the country is economically?
I mean, I'm obviously saddened and concerned by it, but I'm not surprised. As someone who taught economics as a visiting lecturer at Stanford before getting into politics, I was probably going to be an academic. I've always been surprised that we haven't seen these numbers yet, for a number of reasons. Look, when you blanket restrict immigration, as this president has, and you have blanket tariffs, as this president has, and you skew an economy where you're just going to provide tax breaks to the very wealthy and not invest in consumer spending for working and middle class, as this president has, you're going to have an impact on slowing down the economy and causing unemployment. And, he's been skirting by, but anecdotally, I mean, talk to people who are graduating school, as all of you have, or even just high school, even college, even prestigious colleges, and they're saying they're having a hard time in the job market. And then I think AI is adding to that, not just anecdotally, but there's a paper at Stanford that shows that there's a 16% job loss for young people under 25 in AI-exposed professions, in coding, and customer support. And, you have to still disaggregate that, but that's adding to it as well. So all of this says is that we need an actual economic policy, a jobs policy that's going to hire people, with the federal government getting involved, in my view, in hiring and preventing mass displacement. We need a policy that's going to actually focus on the working and middle class again, to have consumer spending. We need a policy that's actually going to have industrial investments across this country. And you have, unfortunately, a president who has the exact opposite view. And I really believe it's like the 1920s, where you had the Treasury Secretary basically saying, we only a few elites really drive the economy to Hoover, and the rest are just a waste. And we need to skew all of our policy to them. And they did, and they caused a great depression. I'm not saying that we're going to have a Great Depression, but we've got mismanagement. And the opportunity for the Democrats in 26 and 28 is to have a real New Deal that helps rebuild the economy of this nation.
Have you been tooling around with any new policies to address this? And Shortcut Chakrabarty, who I think co-founder,
he's running a great campaign up in San Francisco, and has a real shot.
Yeah. So he was on Hassan Piker's show this week and was saying that for instance, one of the ideas that he threw out was there needs to be more thought about the public's involvement in the economy, and that if AI is able to drive the cost of providing something to the public down to basically zero, that should no longer be controlled privately by oligarchs. That the government then really that the government should be able to then just provide it for people. There's one kind of new idea about how you have to reorient your thinking about an economy that is going to be cost free for a lot of the services. Just aside from if you can solve the the compute, the energy problem, of course. But although it wouldn't cost as the oligarch kind of extracting from the economy. In other words, is there anything like we could enter new kind of series of social relations and to the economy?
No. I mean, I've called for a new tech social contract, and I laid out 7 principles at a speech recently with Bernie Sanders at Stanford. But one of the ideas that I believe is that we should have like a civilian conservation corps, a federal future workforce administration that hires people right out of high school, right out of college, both to go into their community, to rebuild those communities, do childcare jobs, elder care jobs, counseling jobs, or to work in the federal government, to do renewable energy or moonshot projects or improve customer service. And it should be paid for by both a wealth tax, a tax on billionaires, and a tax on a token on AI use, on enterprise AI use that would generate a public return for employment from the automation that may be caused by AI. We can go to other policies. I believe is we need protecting human beings and make sure truck drivers aren't losing their jobs. Make sure that there's not mass displacement in industries, that you need a human being in the loop. So I certainly think that there's this opportunity now for a strong economic jobs agenda that because the impact is not just on blue collar workers, it's also on white collar workers.
All right. Well, Congressman, thank you for your time.
Well, just wanted to give you a little taste of that. And in the description, you can check out the entire block that they had on Breaking Points today. They really got into some good stuff over there. Now, I know a lot of my conservative friends and then the MAGA people who are ninja watching this thing. You guys are watching this is like, hey man, you showing way too much liberal stuff over there. I was like, well, look, man, I'm trying to make America great again. Right? Y'all want to know who the real MAGA people are? It's those liberals that y'all make fun of, because under the liberals, like the people I know in MAGA who are living in their cars, living in these trailers, they had health care via the Affordable Care Act. They were able to get work and their unions weren't threatened by big business because the Democrats were protecting unions. Now, I know that Biden did some stuff with the railroad unions and stuff like that was kind of questionable, and with the dock workers, but they're still there. The liberals and the Democrats were bringing jobs back to America. They were opening up factories. They were, they were putting, investing money in infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. Right? They were doing what they can for education. And whenever the liberals decide to do something, they're trying their best to help the people at the bottom. Whereas when the Republicans and the conservatives are doing something, they tend to help the people at the top. What am I talking about? What was the first thing that happened when Trump came in? The big, beautiful bill, right? I don't know anybody. Well, I do. Most of the people I know that they didn't get any help from that. I do know a lot of people who benefited from that. I do know a lot of very wealthy people. They were happy with that bill. The average guy is not benefiting from that. So all this MAGA stuff, all this talk about making America great again, look where we are right now. And a year, it's been a year. Look where we are right now. We are definitely headed for a serious recession, if not a light depression. That's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. Americans are losing their homes. There's predatory lending going on in the auto market. I was just reading about that the other day. There are people out here, they're going out here buying cars, buying 8-year-old, 10-year-old cars, and they look at the sticker prices like, oh, $20,000. Okay, I can afford that. But their credit is bad and they can't get approved by any traditional bank. So they go off to these predatory lending companies and they wind up paying 3 or 4 times more for that car. You're looking at well over 26% I think the legal limit in most states is 25%, I think. But when you add in all the hidden costs and all the fees with these companies, when you add all that to the interest rate, you're looking at well over 20-30%. Imagine that. Could you imagine paying 40% interest on a loan for 5 years? A 60-month loan and you're paying 40% interest. You're not going to be able to pay for that vehicle. The car is going to break down. You're not going to be able to pay for that car. They repossess the car. They charge you for that. They run you through the ringer. Then they take that car and they sell it to someone else, and the whole process begins again. That is what's going on right now. Americans are getting brutalized. They're getting laid off. They have no health care. They can't afford child care. So now someone has to stay home with the kids. This is what's going on right now, man. This is what y'all voted for. This is what y'all voted for. Don't run from it. Don't run from it. But what you can do about it, you can come out in November. Hopefully we'll be voting. Hopefully, because the guy you put in office is probably going to try to shut that down. Probably going to try to figure out a way to postpone our elections in November because he knows what's going to happen. Hopefully that doesn't go down. If you get a chance to vote, go out there and vote. Pinch your nose, do whatever you got to do, and vote all these MAGA folks out. That's what you're going to have to do. And it sucks because the pendulum is just going to swing, but we can't afford what's going on now. We can't afford another endless war in the Middle East, man. We can't afford it. $700 million a day to fight a war that we have no business fighting. Meanwhile, Americans can't eat. Right? You got Americans over here can't eat. Go get you a job at McDonald's. Guess what? McDonald's is cutting back. You can't even get a job at CVS or Walgreens. They're cutting back. They're shutting down stores. It's crazy out here, y'all. I know a lot of folks. I know a lot of folks that watch me. You guys are more conservative. Hell, I'm center right myself. I'm a registered Republican, but I can't stand what they did. Can't stand what's going on now. But as Americans, you got to step up and you got to fix it. You got to fix it. You guys put this dude in office. You know, we got this TV show running the government. Y'all got to step up and fix it. Find some responsible conservative politicians and get them in office and make sure these are people who ain't gonna lie to you and they can at least get you some help. I got medical insurance, right? Make sure they can get you some help. And we need to take care of our vets. We got a lot of vets going to be coming back from this latest engagement in the Middle East. They're going to get back here and the government's going to give us a runaround, try to get them some basic services and get them some help. So I'm going to leave it there. And again, I know a lot of y'all ain't going to like that, man, but hey, sometimes, man, you just got to deal with it. Over here, we talk about the red pill. Well, here's the red pill in politics. Donald Trump is destroying America. How about that? That's red pill right there, bro. And I don't want to hear what the other people would have done. We're talking about what's going on right now. Right? So you want that true red pill, right? Or you want to stay over there on that far right MAGA fringe and just keep popping blue pills and think everything is hunky-dory over there. You can do that if you want to. You can stay in the matrix if you want to, or you can open your eyes to what's really going on out here. Y'all put a madman in office, a guy who simply doesn't care. He simply doesn't care at all. He's surrounded by a bunch of people who are completely incompetent and they are destroying America. Simple as that. I had to get that off my chest, guys. Next time y'all see me, though, we'll be talking about the stuff, you know, that y'all really like to talk about. We'll be talking about what's going on out here with dating. That's another thing, too, man, for, you know, just to shift gears right now. The dating landscape is definitely changing right now. You know, women are changing the way that they approach dudes. Right? They're starting to approach dudes. Guys are out here doing the work. So there's opportunities out here to get on, but right now, man, it's just I can't stop thinking about what's going on in the Persian Gulf and what's going on with the American economy and how the world economy is about to collapse and what's going on with the dollar. So next time you see me, we're going to be talking about that. We talked about underemployment on that one video we did a few days ago. Also, I want to show you how these numbers and people losing their jobs, how that equates to people losing their houses, like they're losing their cars, The credit is messed up. They're losing their houses, and the economy is just going flat. And all this is going on right now, man. It's like a nasty domino effect, man. So next time you see me, we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about that. Day 7 of this war. Day 7. $700 million a day is being spent on this conflict, and America is falling apart. Boy, what could we do with that $700 million? I just had to get that off my chest. Thanks for rocking out with me, guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow when we talk about day 8. I'll see y'all tomorrow when we talk about day 8. I'll be back later on tonight. I might have to do a little drinking. I might have to do a little drinking, man, just to try to get my mind off of this. So we'll be back tonight. We'll talk about something. We might just have like a open mic kind of thing and just talk about whatever we're gonna talk about, man. Maybe we can talk about some movies or something. Maybe we can talk about dating. I don't know what we're gonna talk about. But when I come back this evening, we will not talk about what's going on with the war. All right, we'll save that for tomorrow. I'm DL Saint. Appreciate y'all rocking out with me, man. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast. I'm gonna holler at y'all.